In this video, I'll show how to use the SchoolPivot app to create timetables. In the previous video, I talked about how to set up the school master data like grades, subject, teachers and shared room. If you haven't watched it, you can find the link to that in the description of this video. Click on the New Schedule button to start a new schedule. Give it a name. The first thing is to decide the grades this schedule is for. Typically, this depends on how the teachers and shared rooms are associated with the grades. For example, if teachers and shared room are dedicated to elementary grade students, then it is easier to make a schedule for them. In this video, I'll create a schedule for the entire school, including elementary and kindergarten, because some teacher may teach many grades. I'll select all the grades. Just like every screen, you can always get answers to many questions in the contextual help by clicking on the eye icon on the page. At the top left, we can see that this bell time is for all the grades, just like we selected for this schedule. Once this choice is made, it cannot be changed for this schedule. We have an empty calendar to fill with bell times. Bell times are simply when a period starts and ends, as you would imagine. In this school, grade 1 through 5 start at the first bell time. However, kindergarten start their class with the second bell time. I am going to make the first period only for grade 1 through 5. I am going to add more periods and lunch now. The rest of the periods and lunch are applicable to every grade. If I want to see the bell time just for kindergarten, I can filter out the rest of grades from the filter menu. Notice the periods now start from period 2, which is second bell time. I can always come back and change the bell time if I made a mistake or want to change it for any reason. This is the final part of providing data for a schedule, and this is where I spend most time trying out preferences and constraints for my schedule. Once again, remember the eye icon for some quick help for this page. This is a spreadsheet-like view in which grades are along the columns and subjects and elective along the rows. Here, subjects under an elective are shown below the elective name. These grades are the ones we selected for this schedule, and subjects are applicable to these grades as we added them in the school master data. You can always filter the grades to show on this page. This control is useful if you have a big school or just want to focus on a few grades at a time. The next view control is to show or hide groups. This is very handy and we will use this control quite a bit. Essentially, you can expand the columns to show every group or collapse to see only grades. Subjects applicable to the grades are shown by default, but we can see all the subjects in the school if we want. The next set of view controls are to show different timetable rules. Since we don't have any rules yet, I'll come back to this after I specify some rules. In this spreadsheet-like UI, the cells are the lessons or the classes. We can specify all kinds of rules for these classes. In most cases, we can specify the rules at grade level, and sometimes it can be for multiple grades. This can be very powerful and expressive for bigger schools. There are several timetable rules available. The only required rule is the number of weekly periods for lessons. This makes creating a basic timetable very fast. The first timetable rule I should set is all the joint classes in the schedule. I have few joint classes, so I want to specify this rule first. Kindergarten sports classes are joined with all the groups. This means I want LKG group A, B and C to have a joint class. To specify joint classes, I need to expand the groups view. This is because lessons for groups are joint, so I need to access the groups. I will select the classes while holding the control key. Now, I'll use the menu to select the joint constraint rule. A joint class usually has multiple teachers and some shared rooms. We will set the teachers and rooms for these classes later in other rules. Let's repeat this for UKG, 1st, 2nd and 3rd grade too. The cells are colored to indicate joint classes. Now, I also want to have joint classes for the electives for grade 4 and 5. So this is a joint elective lesson, which means we will have more than one subject. If you haven't watched the video on setting electives, you can watch how joining classes for electives can give a better student-teacher ratio in that video. I'll give a link to that video in the description. We are done with all the joint classes rules. Next, I'll specify the total number of periods per week for each lesson. Let me switch to the grades view because this rule is really the same for all the groups and grades. I can specify this rule at the grade level. I can start at the first class and use the tab or arrow keys to move to the next class. We have a total period rule in which the denominator keeps me informed about the number of periods in the bell time for each grade. The numerator tells us how many total periods I have entered so far for the grade. I have only entered this rule for one subject, so the numerator shows me that the number only. I will now fill in the rest of the total period rule at the grade level. Let me show this rule as it was automatically applied to all the groups while I was setting it up for the grades. This takes very little time and it is easy to do. We have this rule set for every group now. Notice the total period rows. I have filled in all the periods from the bell time with lessons for every grade. I want to verify the rules I entered so far. Most important, I want to make sure I have enough teachers for every lesson. I'll save all the rules and do a verification. If I have entered all the teachers with all the lessons, I should get no errors. But if there are some errors or warnings, I can fix them by either in the rules or going back to the school master data and changing some data there. I have no errors, so I can check the automatic teacher assignment for every lesson. These teachers are picked automatically based on their teaching skills
and number of periods they can teach.
I think it's pretty cool. I'm ready to generate a timetable at this time. The electives automatically got 2 teachers and joint classes have 1 teacher each. I like to specify some more rules. I have several rules I can specify. I want to have 3 teachers for kindergarten sports, which is a joint class. This is a big class. Let me specify the number of teachers rule for 2 joint classes simultaneously. I will specify this rule for other joint sports class too. In general, if you specify teacher's skill using preferred and normal assignment, there is no need to override assignment. However, in some cases, teaching skill can be more general and we may want to fix some assignments. Kindergarten groups in the school are special for teaching assignments. There is 1 teacher assigned to each group, no matter the subject. I want to fix teachers for every group as a rule. The list of teachers in the choice is already limited to few teachers based on their skills. In this dialog, I can also override my preference specified in the master data. Just think of fixed teacher as the highest assignment priority, then preferred teacher in rules followed by preferred skill in the master data. I will have to select each kindergarten group and subject one at a time and assign the same teacher. I think this is a bit painful and I would like to apply this rule across columns at once. Fortunately, this is not a common scenario. Write in your comments what you think. Let's check all the teachers' rule I specified so far. I can verify the rules quickly. Notice there is a particular format to show these rules due to space constraint. Teacher's code is handy here to show. I could have specified the preferred teacher in the school master data, but I like to think of a skill as a subject and grade combination, not a specific subject and group combination. If some or all the lessons need multi-period, it's easy to specify them. All the sports lessons are supposed to be 2 period long. Remember that I can have a subset of a lesson as a multi-period. I can do that using the multi-period rule. This time I will select all the sports classes at once and specify this rule for all of them. I can do that by holding the Control key and clicking on the sports classes. I will specify one more multi-period rule for 4th and 5th grade, music and dance elective. Let me show all the period rules now. Some of the lessons will need shared rooms. This is easy to specify. The last rule I want to specify is the preferred period rule. I have just one rule for 4th and 5th grade music and drama elective. For these multi-period lessons, I want them to be on Friday after 3rd period. This rule can take a closed range for periods. I can select after periods and before periods for any number of days. I don't have to specify the period before, in this case which automatically is set to before the school ends. Since my last pre-check, I have added several rules and I must do another pre-check before I can create a timetable. So far we haven't done anything about the timetable. At this point, I can create a timetable. At this time, the app is going to search many possible solutions and get the best one. This is an easy problem I chose for this video, but in practice this can be much harder, especially when I add many timetable rules or have many groups and teachers. If you are curious, the timetable problem is sent out to a set of powerful computers. Actually, I can close my computer if I want to or work on something else.
I will get an email when the timetable is ready, or I can refresh this page to see if the timetable is ready after some time, depending on how big the problem is.
Let's look at the timetable now. Here it is, and it looks beautiful. All the subjects are color coded. The period times are in the column. The master timetable is very useful for checking the timetable quickly. This is also a time to think about some rules to specify related to period times if I forgot about those two before. I can imagine the principal or staff office can have this master timetable printed for a quick view all the time. I can also look at the individual timetable for groups, teachers, and also shared rooms. All of these timetables can be exported to Microsoft Excel format. I would be sure to check for any warnings related to rules, satisfaction related to period preference or teachers' unavailability. We can also share individual timetables using a link. I can put the link on my school website or send by email to the teachers and students. In the next video, I'll talk about the timetable in detail and how to create many timetables using the Easy Copy feature. I will also show how to share and export these timetables. You can find the link in the description.